What's up guys, this is Bussin here coming at you with our next installment with looking at the Deathworld Cycle Warpacks, and today of course we are looking at Unforgiven, the second one in the Warpacks released for Wave 3. Took me a little bit of time to get a hold of this. This is why we have a slight delay in the order of cards. But anyway, it's not about me, this is about Unforgiven. So let's jump right into this bad boy. There you go. As usual, we start with unraveling the sticker on the top. Makes life very easy. There we go. Thread that through. And we're almost in. Now I say it's easy. It's not that easy. But we got in. So there you go, there's the Warpack. And here is our little storyline. And here is the front. And there's nothing else. So we'll put this to the side and focus on this one. Alright, still no pull tap, but I do believe we are going to see our Space Marines Warlord. There you go. Alrighty, so we got Epistolary, Visuel, Dark Angels, and probably unsurprisingly builds a lot on deep striking. After you deep strike a card, draw one card. So we could probably compare this from a very far angle to Kato. But obviously we're not making money, we're making cards. You could argue cards are probably a little bit more valuable, and we can do this after we deep strike a card. Now what's good about that is you can have like a fairly cheap cost deep strike deck built around this guy. Another cool thing about him is even if he does get bloodied, he's still a 2/6. And I think that's respectable. And he's a psyker, and the art looks absolutely amazing. Look at that guy. Isn't that just the bomb? Absolutely great. So let's see his signature units. We get 4 copies of Visuel's Hunters. And these Hunters, unsurprisingly, deep strike for 1. So basically you get a 1 hammer, 2/2 unit for technically 2. And you then draw a card off it. And after you deep strike this unit, deal 2 damage to the target enemy army unit at this planet. I think this is a fantastic signature unit. You can get it out with Drop Pod, because it still is a 3 cost, it's not a 4 cost. If you deep strike it and then you deal 2 damage, if your opponent doesn't shield it, you can have a lot of value of this stuff. And I think that's the idea of Visuel, is just going out and getting value of the new mechanic. Then we get the signature support, Dark Angels Cruiser. It's an upgrade Dark Angels card. Deploy action, exhaust this support to put a target unit you control at a planet in reserve. So that's pretty cool. It comes for a 0, which is pretty good in my opinion. And it also allows you to basically take any one of the hunters, and even though your opponent will know that they're hunters, you still get the value of the 2 damage, you still get the value of deep striking them again, so drawing another card, and it basically makes just this whole engine run nice and smooth. So I like this card. I think this card is pretty good. Like overall, whether Visuel is a good warlord or not, I don't know, I haven't played with him yet. So far what I'm seeing is really promising though. We get 2 signature events, and this is called Unseen Strike. Unsurprisingly, deep strikes again, and it's a cheap deep strike again. It's a 1-cost deep strike. The art is great. After you deep strike this event, you gain the initiative in this battle. That's, you know, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Initiative is important, particularly if you come up against a ranged deck. Being able to control the battle from an initiative point of view, I think is very good, and it's certainly something that can be really useful for Space Marines. When you don't have the initiative, being able to get through with perhaps, you know, big units, elite units, can be quite important. We'll see. We'll have to see. I mean, even if these aren't like the best cards, technically still a draw one, if nothing else. So yeah, I can live with that. And then the signature attachment, Fulgaris. And now you can only attach this to your Warlord, and it's a reaction. It costs 1, by the way, that's cool. Reaction, after you deep strike a card, attached unit gets +1 attack and +1 HP until the end of the phase. So that's wonderful. Because this stacks, it's a reaction, you don't need to tap it. So if you decide to deep strike, you know, 3 cards at the beginning of the battle, your Warlord's gonna be a, well, 5/9. Okay, even if it's just a 1 deep strike, you're gonna draw a card. You're gonna get +1/+1. So then Vezuel's gonna be a 3/7. I think that's already pretty good on its own. I think this is definitely one of those signature attachments that's very playable. How often you're gonna actually get it, I don't know, but it's pretty sweet. I really like it, actually. Art is alright. Art could, yeah, could be a bit better, but it's still cool. So this is the signature lineup for Vezuel. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm definitely going to be building around this guy. This guy seems good. Just seems good on economy. As long as you know you got fairly, you got a couple of good deep strike cards. Now, obviously, you will struggle to play the command game a little bit more if you want to deep strike, unless you use that Tau support. I believe that gives you all your deep strike cards basically are one command hammer. Alright, let's look into the rest of this Warpack. 3 copies of the Firstborn Battalion. Soldier of Ostroya, 4-cost army unit, 2 hammers, 3/4. It's not mind-blowing. Let's look at the effect. While you control 3 or more support cards, this unit gains mobile and ranged. Okay, well that's the big part. Obviously, Astra Militarum's gonna normally play with a fair few support cards. This then will be a mobile and ranged unit, which is very strong. But if you don't get at least 3 supports out, then this is a 3/4 vanilla for 4. Well, not vanilla. Obviously, you get 2 command icons, but you don't want to play the command game with 4-cost units. So it's a bit of a high-cost card for AM, but you know it could work. I'm sure there's combos there that make this an extremely good card. Overall, on the surface, I think it looks decent enough. And we get 3 copies of Clear Cut Refuge, but it's a unique support, so you can only have 1 out at a time. It's a location as well. Only costs 1 though, and as an action, exhaust the support to give a target unit plus X HP until the end of the phase. X is the highest printed cost among units you control. So there's your synergy. You get the battalion, and it comes with the refuge. So these 2 obviously work really well. This is 1 of 3 supports that matters to this guy, and then this guy is gonna get a bunch of extra, obviously give a bunch of extra HP. Doesn't have to be this guy. As long as he's out, then it's +4 HP until the end of the phase. So that's cool. As a bit of synergy there is obviously what these Warpacks want to do, is that kind of give you an idea of where you want to go. Okay, interesting. We get a unique orc, Gorgul the Slayer. It's a 4 cost, 4/5, no command. It's a soldier, it's a knob. Interrupt: when a unit you control at this planet is declared as an attacker, your opponent cannot trigger effects until after that attack resolves. So, right. That's actually, I mean, that's pretty good. But for a 4 cost unit without any command, I don't think it's that good. It's loyal as well, which obviously makes it a bit more difficult. But I can certainly see this giving good protection for the orcs. That's for sure. You're gonna be able to get that attack through. And it's a when a unit you control at this planet is declared as an attacker, so it's an ongoing effect. It's an interrupt. If they can't remove this guy, then obviously they will have some problems. They still get to like play actions and stuff, but it's about triggering effects in obviously in relation to that attack. So that attack's gonna get through. That's not bad. And then we got 3 attachments here for the orcs. Well, 1 attachment, obviously the playset of Great Iron Gob. I love the art. The art is very cool. It's a 2 cost, 2 shield attachment attached to an orc army unit you control. Attached unit gains the knob trait. Each army unit you control at this planet gains a command icon. Okay, so that's obviously this is then again you can see the synergy. Gorgol doesn't have any command icons. You should play this, and then he's gonna get a command icon. And there's a bit more synergy, perhaps, to go with knobs. I don't know. I don't think there's anything in particular, or nothing that I picked up on. I'm not a massive work player, but it might be useful. It might be one of the warlords where no perhaps matters. Okay, let's move on to Chaos. And this is a 1 cost, 2/1 armor bane demon Nurgle, infectious Nurgling. No commands, but it's definitely an interesting one. I mean, it's cheap. That's always interesting to look at a card. You know, if it's a 1 cost army unit, what can I do with it? Well, a 2 attack armor bane for 1, I think it's a good deal. No, you're not gonna get any command with this guy, but I don't think this guy wants to go and do commanding. I think this guy wants to travel with Zerathur and just deal 3 armor bane damage until it's taken down. I think that's what this little guy wants to do. And now it could be also good for. No, I don't think, because with the 1 health, I don't think it will be good for Kugath. So it's a 1 cost army unit for Chaos that has armor bane. And I think that's really cool. Chaos doesn't really have much in the realms of armor bane, so perhaps this fills some sort of a gap there. But let's move on. I still think it's a 2/1 armor bane for 1. That's a good price actually. And then we get Elite. An elite unit, Seekers of Slanash, 5 cost army, Demon Slanash Elite. 5 cost elites are good. 2 hammers, that's good. It's a 4/5, that's good. Sacrifice a cultist unit at this planet to draw 1 card, that's good. I think what it does it well. Do you want to lose a cultist to draw a card? That depends what else you're running in the deck. You don't need to necessarily have a huge amount of elites to be able, a huge amount of demons to get, you know, extra. I tell you what this card is for. When you haven't got a demon card in your hand and you've got a bunch of cultists and you don't know what to do with the cultists, besides them obviously being 1/1s, you sack 1, you draw 1, you might get a demon, then you might be able to play that demon. It is an action though, that's very important. So you are obviously, you could perhaps draw in a 2 shield card. You could perhaps draw in a warp storm. You could draw in a couple of different, you know, good little combat tricks. And also I would say that there isn't much in the realms of card draw for chaos, so this definitely fills that gap as well. Now, giving another 5-cost elite demon unit for chaos, there's already a bunch of those, but I think this is a good one. I don't know what our warlord is going to be like in the War Punished. Maybe works really well with that guy, so we'll have to wait and see. But on the surface, I think this card looks good. Card draw is good. You know, there's no denying the fact that card draw isn't good. Card draw is always good. Okay, we got a 0-cost attachment. That's already a good start. 1 shield, and it's called the Mark of Slanash. It's a curse Slanash card attached to an army unit. When attached unit leaves play, move an army unit you control to this planet. So it's a bit of a switcheroo, right? You can put it on your opponent's unit, and then you can drag a unit over there. When that gets killed, sacrificed, or maybe you need some reinforcements, you put it on that guy. When you take it down, you can move over a guy there, or vice versa. You can put it on your guy if it's like a little tiny, like this infectious nurgling. Give it a Mark of Slanash. When this little nurgling's taken down, maybe we bring in the big 5-cost elite. So I'm pretty sure that is supposed to be the logic behind this. Does Chaos have enough sort of card moving around? It's not really big on mobile units. This is better than mobile from that point of view, that you can go to from any planet to that planet. You can bring something up from HQ, which could also be important if something gets routed, for example. So that is certainly something that needs to be thought about. And also remember, cultists with the core set card, when you can play like 2 cultists, they go to your HQ tapped. You can bring one of those up to the planet where you have the Seeker of Slanash, then sack that guy and draw a card. So there's quite a lot you can do with just looking at these couple of cards together in the vacuum of this Warpack. Do I like it? Would I run it? Maybe. In the right deck, I think it could be very useful. Alright, let's move on to Dark Eldar. And immediately we have a Mandrake Cutthroat. Now, I like the Mandrakes, like, as a general, like, the style that they have, the long hair, sort of, really kind of like assassin-like approach to things. This is a deep strike unit, deep strike for 1, or you can play for 3. It's a 2/2 with a hammer. That's not bad. But you want to deep strike this guy, obviously. After you deep strike this unit, destroy a target ally unit at this planet. And there's a bunch of allies that are, for sure, a bane. You think about most of the little guys that play the command game are allies. Certainly Void Pirates, certainly Rogue Trader, the Bialtan Guardians for Eldar. There's a huge amount. I mean, obviously, Dark Eldar has a couple of allies as well. Yeah, so it can be very useful. Now, the problem is, do you really care about those allies? I'd say more often than not, if you play the command game right, you're not really going to care about them. So, is it worth to run the Mandrake Cutthroat? Well, if you like the Mandrakes, maybe you can do something with the Warrior trait. That's another important one. It's not restricted to just Dark Eldar. It's not a loyal unit, so it can go to Eldar, it can go to Chaos. There's definitely some place, there is somewhere a deck where this Mandrake Cutthroat can be really good. I mean, I suppose there could be a value in there and I don't know if there is any ally like that if you would if there's no other way to get value of this guy, then you blow up one of your allies, but I don't think there would be any value in that, or I'm just not aware of it. Overall, it's an okay card. I mean, if I play if I look at Deep Strike as a 2-cost, one hammer 2/2 for 2 is not well. Actually, you can't really look at it like that because if you just play it outright, it's a 3-cost for a hammer and 2/2. Yeah, and well, debatable. I just don't know how much would you care about allies, unless there's like a very specifically good ally somewhere. Now this, on the other hand, 1,000 cuts. This looks immediately good because it's a 1-cost event, 2 shields. Tactic Torture, very important. Trying to get something done for Uriel, I guess. It's combat action. Okay, that's good for Uriel as well. You're not gonna run Uriel, but deal 1 damage to a target non-elite army unit, then shuffle this card back into your deck. That's amazing for Uriel, actually, because you constantly have the torture supplies in your deck, and if you want to use his signature attachments, or there's another card where there's basically a bunch of ways how you can like discard cards from either player's hand. So that can be yourself, to keep supplying your hand, and if you find 1,000 cuts, these go back into the deck after them being played. It's basically a 1 ping for a 1-cost. I don't think it's bad. I like the 2 shields. I like the cost. I like that it's gonna recur. I don't see much of an issue with this card. In fact, I'm looking at Uriel. I'm just thinking about Uriel because this card is a torture for Uriel. This comes out for free. It's a 2 shield. Not that this is gonna make Uriel good. Uriel is probably one of the worst, if not the worst warlord. But it does give him a combat action, and it does ping, which is good, and he comes back. So that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I like this. Not in a Uriel deck. I like this in like any Dark Eldar deck. I would run this. Maybe a 1 or 2 of, if you got the space. All right, here we go. Eldar. Adherent Outcast. This is not a good card. A 2-cost army unit, 1/3. There's no command. If this had a command icon, I would say yeah, it's fine. But you're not gonna take out your Eldar Outcast. What's it called? The Outcast guy. Don't even have it here. The one that gives you an extra card and an extra resource for 2. And it's got 2 icons, 0/2. I mean, he's not going to take that out. Each elite unit you control this penalty against flying. It's not even a big deal. Like, elite units already have usually a fairly big bottom to be able to deal with stuff. Give them flying. Let's move on. That's not good over here. Concealing Darkness, an Eldar Deep Strike event. You can only play this by Deep Striking it, and it's going to cost you 1 Deep Strike, 1 to deploy face down into reserve, 1 to Deep Strikes. It's a 2-cost event. After you Deep Strike this event, you may deploy each Eldar unit in your hand at this planet as though it had ambush until the end of the phase. Give everything ambush in my hand for 2 at the beginning of the combat. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Imagine if you got the Tau card, ambush platform, and you got okay, it's a lot of setup, I understand, but if you have an ambush platform in play, you got an ion rifle and the armor bane drones, the 4/2 armor bane drones, and a bunch of money. You need to have 7 money for this to happen, and already have the platform in place. This is a pretty expensive one, but you Deep Strike this for 2. You play the drone for 4. You then ambush platform the iron rifle, although that iron rifle is going to cost you 0, so 6 money for that. And you can bloody the warlord if you got the initiative. and there's no ranged that you're facing against. That is good. That is good. It's a lot of setup. Is that the only thing where you would want deep strike? Sorry, not even deep strike. If you would want to ambush an Eldar unit, no, you could definitely ambush a couple of good stuff. Imagine you ambushing a Warlock Destructor for 2. It's 3/4 with, you know, if it dies, it dies. Doesn't matter. It's a cheap, very strong unit. Do you want to pay 4 for that unit and lose 2 cards? I don't know. I think Eldar needs a bit more support with Deep Strike. I mean, Concealing Darkness is not a bad card. It's just not that good either. Let's move on to town. We have the Grav Inhibitor Drone. It's another drone. That's always good. It's a 1-cost 0/4 unit. It doesn't have any command now. That might be an issue. Let's move on. Each unit with printed cost 2 or lower at this planet cannot attack, while unit with printed cost 3 or higher at this planet is ready. So that's where the synergy comes in, even with the Concealing Darkness. If you deep strike in something, if you ambush in something that's a 3-cost or higher, whilst this guy is in play, then your opponent's weenies will not be able to attack. That could be good. And that can also stop like Eager Recruit, for example. There's something there, for sure. And obviously it's just another one of those cards where they're trying to move away from using the small creatures, you know, play more with elites, because there's another card that stops the small creatures, but you have to play the command game, guys. And then we get a missile pod. It's a hard point, 2 cost, 1 shield, attached to a pilot or vehicle. Deploy action. Sacrifice this attachment to deal 3 damage to a target enemy army unit in your opponent's HQ, or destroy a target support card. Brilliant. Absolutely beautiful. 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 You got the Trailblazer. You put this on the Trailblazer. Your problem with your opponent's support card is now gone. Yes, it costs you 2. It does give you an extra deploy action, which is always good. And it's not only destroy a support card, but you can also deal 3 damage to target enemy army unit in your opponent's HQ. I mean, this is a very good card. This is a really, really, really good attachment for Tau. This is amazing. This is such a good card. Pilot or vehicle, that's not really a problem. I mean, think about that big Gundam 5-cost elite when it comes into play. It puts 2 attachments on itself. If that's one of these, I'll take that anytime. Anytime. I do think that's a pilot. Yeah, so they should work. Let's check real quick. It is. There you go. A prototype crisis unit. This comes down. That gives you another deploy. That's just fantastic. That's just so good. That's a really, really, really good card for town. Yeah. That's a strong card. Right here. And the art is cool too. Look, another Gundam. Okay, let's move on to Tyranids. Of course, we get an elite unit here. The Caustic Trianophex. It's a creature, Leviathan elite, a 5-cost elite with 3 hammers. I'll buy into that for sure. 4/4, okay. Let's see. After you win, it's a reaction. After you win a command struggle at this planet, until the end of the round, this unit gains Hive Mind. Each Termagant token you control this planet gains Armor Bane. That's fantastic. That's really, really good for, like, that will be, I think, pretty, certainly Omega, and the Swarming one from the core set will play with a bunch of Termagant tokens. So there will be value of this. You have to win the command struggle, but it does come down with 3 hammers, so you will be likely to get that. You can run the STC fragment in your deck, That's not a problem, so you can get it out for 3 cost there. I think this is a good unit. I think this is a very good unit. Okay, let's move on because we're at half an hour. We get a support as well. It is the Lomi Broodhive, a 1-cost support location reaction. After you deploy an elite unit, exhaust this support to put 2 Termagant tokens into play at the same planet as that unit. I mean, that's some fantastic synergy right there, isn't it? You know, it's like an empty planet. You get this out. If you're lucky, you get an STC fragment out. If you can't, you can play this for the rest of your money. Obviously, you start with this. This is like your only deployment. Then go to the first planet. You're obviously gonna get 2 Termagant tokens going there. You're probably gonna win the command, and you're gonna give all your Termagant guys armor bane. Now, if I saw this on the first planet opposite me on the table, I don't think I would go to the first planet unless I had like a bunch of ranged or an AoE, because then you can deal with the problem. But otherwise, I think that these 2 cards, they work beautifully together, and finally, you know, something that's really useful for you know, pushing the low high Termagant elite, if there is such a thing. With some really good, yeah, I mean, these 2 cards work beautifully together. Absolutely lovely. Okay, let's now close off with Necron. We get another drone. Drone's always good for Necron. It's a 3-cost 1/3 drone with no command icons again. That's disappointing, but hey, it is what it is. And each unit with printed cost 2 or lower at this planet gets -1 HP. So whilst it doesn't have command icons, it's gonna kill the Earthcast Technician, it's gonna kill the Rope Trader, it's gonna kill the Biatan Warriors, it's going to kill all those, you know, tiny cheap. It's gonna kill the Incubus Warrior. It's gonna kill a bunch of cheap stuff that you would use for a command game. So, in effect, what Necron says, you know what, I'm not gonna have command there, but nor will you. So, okay, I can definitely see the charm in this card. It's a bit expensive for 3 though, but hey. But it's also cool because it's cost 2 or lower. That's an important one. If it was cost 1 or lower, that could be a problem. And then finally, we get Defensive Protocols. It is a Deep Strike event. It costs you 2 to Deep Strike, so it's a 3-cost event basically. 1 shield. At least it's another event for Necron. It's not exactly that they're swimming in events. After you Deep Strike this event, until the end of this battle's first combat round, reduce all damage taken by Necron units you control to 2-1. Wow, I thought it's gonna say by 1, but it's 2-1. That's pretty good. If it would just reduce it by 1, I'd be like, come on, you gotta be kidding. Spend 3 on this. But it reduces all damage taken by Necron units you control to 1. So this doesn't care about armor bane. It will still reduce it to 1. Yes, that 1 will still be armor bane, but you know, there's no, you know, big chain chopper flying in with on a ranged unit or on an armor bane unit for AM or orcs, or even chaos. This is just gonna be like, okay, you know, all your ranged tricks, I don't care about that. All your ranged armor bane stuff, you know, the big unit you beef up to that, you know, snipe something out in the range command, I don't care about it. This is a very good card actually for Necron. The only problem here is that I'm not 100% sure if the elite unit that plays events back from the discard would work with this card. It might do, it might not. I genuinely don't know. But even if you just get to use this once in a critical match against some player who obviously mostly good against ranged, like just immediately thinking so good against ranged. Or if your opponent has the initiative, and then you're like, well, okay, you know what? You can have the initiative. I don't care. All my Necron units will take 1 damage from your attack. So that's pretty sweet. I like this card a lot. This is a very solid card. Alright guys, well thank you very much for joining me for this episode. Went into a bit more analysis. I thought, a 20-minute video wasn't really enough to talk about these cards in enough details. So I went a bit longer, a bit more beef around the discussions, a bit more analysis there. This is, of course, again, remember, first-hand opinion, with me looking at having everything besides the wave 3 cards. So this is my initial opinion based on what decks I play with or I think are okay. And obviously there's no competitive scene here, but yeah. So actually I'd say Unforgiven, generally, a fairly good Warpack. This was the second one that came out in the set, so our first actual warlord was Visuel. Now I know because we looked at Zaras already, but he of course came out in what was it? Gosh, I don't even know. Well, we've seen Zaras, of course, and we've seen Maxim. And these guys would have been revealed after Visuel then. So that's cool. And we're gonna get a Chaos Warlord and we're gonna get an Eldar Warlord in the final 2 packs that we're gonna look at. So there's a bit of a spoiler for you guys. And up until next time, Saiyan, sign out. Peace.